Hello, esteemed gentlemen. The greatest illusion in a man's life is believing women fall in love with who he is, when in reality they fall in love with what he makes her feel. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. This single truth has collapsed marriages, created billion-dollar dating industries, and left countless men scratching their heads at 3 a.m., wondering, but I did everything right, so why didn't it work? Here's the twist most men never catch. Studies show that over 85% of women admit their attraction is shaped less by logic and more by shifting emotions. That means she can know you're perfect on paper and still ghost you by Tuesday. Brutal? Yes. But reality doesn't care about your feelings. Now here's where it gets interesting. Sigma males live in a completely different dimension when it comes to women. And the moment a Sigma male finally understands this hidden truth about them, everything changes. Relationships stop being a frustrating puzzle and start feeling like he's cracked the master code. So buckle up, because once this clicks, you'll never look at women or yourself the same way again. And don't worry, we'll keep it brutally honest, with just enough humor to stop you from throwing your phone at the wall. Number 1. Withdrawal creates worship. Withdrawal creates worship. It sounds almost cruel at first, but it's one of the most powerful truths a Sigma male discovers about women. When a man is constantly available, constantly texting back within seconds, constantly present in her orbit, he becomes predictable. Predictability doesn't kill comfort, but it kills curiosity. And once curiosity is dead, desire soon follows. Women don't obsess over what they fully understand. They obsess over what feels just out of reach. The Sigma male realizes that space doesn't weaken attraction, it intensifies it. Pulling back strategically doesn't mean playing childish games or punishing her with silence. It's about refusing to smother the connection. By stepping away, by disappearing into his own world for a while, he leaves a vacuum behind. That vacuum doesn't stay empty. It gets filled with her thoughts, her questions, her what-ifs. She starts replaying old conversations, scanning his social media, overanalyzing why he hasn't been around. And in that absence, he grows bigger in her mind than he ever could by being constantly present. Withdrawal works because it taps into something primal. Humans place the highest value on what's scarce. Diamonds aren't loved because they're useful, they're loved because they're rare. A man who isn't glued to her side, who isn't desperate for her attention, becomes rare. That rarity makes him unforgettable. She starts to measure other men against him, and most fall short because they're too available, too eager, too easy to decode. The Sigma doesn't withdraw to manipulate. He withdraws because his life has gravity outside of her. He has passions, projects, solitude, and a mind that doesn't revolve around constant validation. That self-containment unsettles her in the best way. Instead of feeling abandoned, she feels magnetized. She leans in closer. Not because he chased her, but because the silence forced her to. This is the paradox. The less he demands her attention, the more she gives it freely. By not being a permanent fixture, he becomes a haunting presence in her thoughts. She doesn't just want him back, she wants him back on his terms. That shift turns attraction into obsession, because withdrawal isn't rejection. It's a reminder that his world doesn't collapse without her. And nothing makes a woman worship more than realizing a man's independence is stronger than her influence. Number 2, she doesn't want equality, she wants polarity. She doesn't want equality, she wants polarity. That's the brutal truth a Sigma male eventually understands. Equality works on paper, in laws, in careers, in opportunities. But when it comes to attraction, equality is a buzzkill. The moment a relationship starts feeling like two roommates splitting bills and chores 50-50, the spark begins to fade. Desire doesn't live in balance, it lives in tension, in the magnetic pull between two forces that are different but complementary. The Sigma male realizes women don't crave sameness, they crave contrast. She doesn't want a man who mirrors her energy, her emotions, or her rhythms. She wants the polarity, his steadiness when she's in chaos, his silence when she's overthinking, his grounded presence when her emotions run wild. That contrast is what makes her lean in. It's not about who's stronger or weaker, it's about who creates the charge. Without that charge, even the most perfect relationship feels flat. Most men fail here because they buy into the idea that blending in makes them more acceptable. They soften their edges, mute their masculinity, and try to be safe partners. But safety without polarity turns into boredom. A woman might appreciate a man who listens and agrees with everything she says, but she won't desire him. Desire requires friction. It requires him to stand firm when she tests, to challenge her when she oversteps, and to remain unapologetically himself, even when it would be easier to compromise everything just to keep her happy. The Sigma doesn't chase equality and attraction because he understands that balance is sterile. He brings the masculine polarity unapologetically, not through force or dominance, but by refusing to dilute himself. This doesn't push women away, it draws them in. The more he embodies his side of the polarity, the more room she has to sink into hers. That's where the chemistry explodes, not in sameness, but in difference. When he fully embraces this truth, everything shifts. He no longer feels guilty for being the unshakable one, the detached one, or the mysterious one. He realizes that it's exactly that energy that keeps her restless around him, unable to get comfortable enough to lose interest. Polarity is what transforms a relationship from ordinary companionship into electric connection. And once he learns that, he never again confuses equality with attraction. Number 3. Her body keeps secrets she won't admit. Her body keeps secrets she won't admit, and a Sigma male eventually learns to read the truth written in silence. Words are slippery. They can be rehearsed, polite, or even deliberately misleading. But the body? The body betrays her every time. No matter how carefully she tries to mask her feelings, her biology slips through the cracks. She leans in without realizing it, lingers a little too long in his presence, or lets a laugh escape when she swore she wouldn't find him funny. These small details speak louder than her sentences. The Sigma doesn't chase declarations or confessions. He pays attention to the micro-signals she doesn't even know she's giving off. A flick of her hair when he enters the room, the way her feet point toward him in a crowded space, the slight dilation of her pupils when he makes eye contact. All of it adds up to truths she would never put into words. She might say she's not interested, but her nervous smile tells a different story. She might insist she's over him, but the way her breath shifts when he's near exposes that she's not. This realization changes the way the Sigma male interacts with women. He no longer feels the need to interrogate, overthink, or demand clarity from her words. He knows her biology speaks first, and her words usually try to catch up later, sometimes to explain it, sometimes to deny it. He understands that women are often more comfortable masking their emotions than confronting them, but the body doesn't ask for permission before it reacts. What makes this powerful is that it gives him an edge most men miss. While others take her statements at face value and get confused when her actions don't line up, he simply trusts what her body already told him. That doesn't mean he uses it to manipulate her. It means he moves with sharper awareness. He knows when to pull closer, when to step back, and when to let silence do the work. The body doesn't lie. It whispers the confessions she'll never say out loud. And the Sigma male's strength lies in hearing those whispers clearly, the truths that slip past her lips but never escape her skin. Number 4. She craves to be ruined responsibly. She craves to be ruined responsibly. It's a paradox that most men never grasp, but the Sigma male eventually does. At her core, a woman doesn't just want gentle affection, predictability, and safety wrapped in a bow. Those things might make her feel secure, but they don't make her pulse race. What ignites her is the man who can overwhelm her, not by force, not by recklessness, but by bringing intensity without chaos. It's the thrill of danger placed in hands she trusts not to drop her. The Sigma male understands this balance instinctively. He doesn't dull his edges to be more palatable, and he doesn't swing them recklessly to prove dominance. He carries the kind of energy that makes her heart skip because she knows he could undo her, but he chooses not to. That choice, the restraint in the presence of power, is what creates the deepest form of attraction. It's the emotional equivalent of standing close to fire. She feels the heat, the risk, the possibility of being consumed, yet she knows he won't let her burn. This is why women often describe their most intoxicating connections as ones that felt dangerous but safe. They don't want a man who only protects, nor one who only excites. They want the blend, the man who can shake their world but still hold it steady. The Sigma becomes unforgettable because he offers both. He disrupts her comfort zone while simultaneously becoming the only place she feels truly secure. When he realizes this truth, everything changes in the way he relates to women. He doesn't apologize for his intensity. He doesn't hide the parts of himself that are dark, magnetic, and a little untamed. But he also doesn't weaponize them. Instead, he wields them with precision, showing her the edge without pushing her over it. That's the kind of experience that makes her surrender, not out of weakness, but out of trust. And this is the Sigma's ultimate unlock. Women aren't craving safety alone or chaos alone. They crave the rare man who can merge both, who can ruin them in ways that thrill, and then rebuild them in ways that heal. That paradox isn't just attraction, it's obsession. Number 5. Attraction isn't democracy. Attraction isn't democracy, and the Sigma male's life changes the moment he accepts this. Most men cling to the comforting idea that if they put in effort, play fair, and treat women with the same energy they receive, things will naturally balance out. But attraction doesn't follow that kind of fairness. It's not a vote, not a system where effort gets tallied and rewarded. Women don't fall for men because they've earned it. They fall because of the charge, the tension, the way his presence disrupts her emotional rhythm. The Sigma male stops expecting equal effort once he sees how the game really works. She may never text back as quickly, plan as many dates, or match his energy word for word, but that doesn't mean she's disinterested. Attraction for her isn't measured in transactions. It's measured in feelings. What hooks her isn't symmetry. It's the asymmetry that makes her feel pulled out of her comfort zone. Fairness is flat. Contrast creates gravity. This is where unpredictability enters the picture. A man who is steady in his character but unpredictable in his actions keeps her attention sharper than any man who tries to be fair by giving her exactly what she gives him. If she leans in, and he always leans in the same way, the rhythm becomes predictable and her curiosity dies. But if she leans in, and sometimes he matches, sometimes he holds back, sometimes he withdraws, the pattern keeps her guessing. Guessing sustains attraction far longer than guaranteed fairness ever could. For the Sigma male, this realization isn't a license to manipulate, it's a recognition that men who expect balance in attraction set themselves up for constant disappointment. He learns to stop keeping score. He stops wondering why she didn't reciprocate in equal measure. Instead, he studies the current, the shifting flow of emotion, energy, and timing, and positions himself to ride it instead of resist it. That shift in mindset changes everything. He no longer wastes energy demanding fairness in a system that was never designed to be fair. Instead, he plays by the real rules. Attraction thrives on tension, not symmetry. And the man who embraces that asymmetry doesn't just win her attention. He keeps it. Number 6. Her words are PR, not policy. Her words are PR, not policy. That's the shift a Sigma male makes when he stops taking everything a woman says at face value and starts watching how she actually behaves. Women, like men, use words as social currency. They say what sounds good, what maintains an image, what keeps the peace. It's not that they're always lying. It's that their words are often carefully packaged, polished, and shaped by what they want to believe, or what they think they should say. But attraction doesn't live in speeches. It lives in behavior. A woman can tell you she wants a nice, dependable guy, and yet the man who excites her is the one who doesn't bend over backward for her approval. She might claim she values consistency above all else, but then she finds herself addicted to the unpredictability of someone who keeps her guessing. The contradiction isn't hypocrisy, it's human nature. She may believe her PR, but her actions reveal her policy. This is where most men trip. They try to follow the script women give them, thinking they'll unlock attraction by being the exact thing she described. The Sigma male realizes this is a trap. He pays attention to where she spends her time, who she gives her energy to, what makes her light up without her realizing it. Those votes tell him more than her carefully chosen words ever could. The breakthrough is simple but powerful. Stop listening to the pitch, start reading the results. If she says she wants one thing but consistently responds to another, he takes note. Not to judge her, not to resent her, but to understand her. That understanding puts him miles ahead of men who waste time trying to live up to her words instead of leaning into her truth. Once he locks into this, the Sigma male no longer gets frustrated when words and actions don't match. He expects the gap. He studies it. And because he follows her real behavior instead of her rehearsed statements, he never gets blindsided by contradictions. That's the difference. The average man listens to her speeches. The Sigma watches her votes. And it's always the votes that reveal where her heart actually is. Number 7. Security isn't sexy by default. Security isn't sexy by default, and that's one of the hardest truths for most men to swallow. Society tells them if they stack money, build stability, and offer reliability, women will naturally desire them. And yes, those things can open doors, but they don't guarantee anything beyond comfort. Comfort isn't the same as desire. Comfort can make her appreciate you, depend on you, even respect you. But it won't make her restless at night, thinking about you with fire in her veins. The Sigma male sees this distinction clearly. He realizes that security on its own is neutral. It's like a well-built house with no electricity, safe, protective, practical, but cold. What makes it come alive is when security is mixed with danger, when stability carries a charge that excites her instead of dulling her senses. That paradox is what makes a man unforgettable. He can be the calm in her storm, but also the storm itself when the moment calls for it. He can provide the ground she stands on, but also shake it beneath her just enough to keep her awake. Women crave that tension. Too much safety without edge turns into boredom. Too much danger without trust turns into chaos. But when a man can fuse both, when he can be protective without being predictable, thrilling without being reckless, that's when attraction transforms into obsession. It's the contrast that keeps her invested. She feels anchored but never numb, excited but never endangered. The mistake most men make is confusing responsibility with magnetism. They think being the provider, the reliable one, is enough to keep her desire alive. But over time she doesn't crave the man who only brings safety. She craves the man who can pull her into the fire and then make her feel safe inside it. The Sigma understands this balance instinctively. He doesn't apologize for his unpredictability or his mystery, because he knows those are the sparks that make his security feel alive instead of stale. That's the unlock. Security alone earns gratitude, but security wrapped in danger earns desire. And once the Sigma sees this, he no longer wastes his energy trying to be just the safe choice. He becomes the man who embodies both sides of the paradox. And that's the combination women can't walk away from. Number 8. She's loyal to the emotion, not the man. She's loyal to the emotion, not the man. This is the revelation that flips the Sigma male's understanding of women on its head. Men are conditioned to believe that loyalty is tied to who they are. Their history with her, the years invested, the sacrifices made, the titles and status they hold. They think love is anchored in identity. But a woman's loyalty isn't chained to a name on paper or a story in the past. It's tied to how she feels in the moment. Attraction, desire, and devotion live in the present tense. That's why forever can collapse overnight. She might have sworn she'd never leave, truly believing it when she said it, but if the emotional current shifts, her loyalty shifts with it. It's not deceit. It's biology. Women are wired to stay connected to the source of the strongest emotional experience. When that experience fades, or when someone else triggers it more intensely, her attachment moves without hesitation. The Sigma male stops being shocked by this once he sees it clearly. He no longer interprets it as betrayal in the traditional sense. He sees that she wasn't loyal to him as a static entity. She was loyal to the feelings he created in her. When those feelings weakened, so did the bond. Instead of crying over forever turning fragile, he accepts the reality. Loyalty isn't about promises. It's about emotional maintenance. This realization changes everything about how he relates to women. He doesn't rely on past achievements or assume history guarantees permanence. He focuses on staying present, on continuously embodying the energy that drew her in the first place. He also learns not to take her words too literally, because when she says always, she means as long as this emotion lives inside me. What makes this powerful is that it strips away illusions. The Sigma stops clinging to guarantees and starts moving with awareness. He doesn't beg for loyalty, doesn't chase after faded emotions. If the connection shifts, he adapts or walks away without bitterness because he knows the truth. She was never loyal to the man in theory. She was loyal to how that man made her feel in reality. And the moment he accepts this, he's untouchable by the shock that destroys other men. Number 9. Attention is her currency, not yours. Attention is her currency, not yours. Once the Sigma male grasps this, the entire way he interacts with women transforms. For most women, attention isn't just a nice bonus, it's the substance that shapes how they see themselves. Compliments, likes, stares, messages, and validation act like oxygen for a flame. The more they get, the brighter they feel they burn. It feeds their sense of identity, desirability, and worth. The mistake most men make is thinking the more attention they pour in, the stronger the connection will be. They assume endless availability, constant compliments, and 24/7 focus will make her feel secure and keep her close. Instead, it often has the opposite effect. Saturating her with attention dulls its value. What was once thrilling becomes background noise, like a faucet left running. She stops noticing because there's no scarcity. The Sigma male flips the script. He understands that attention given sparingly is far more powerful than attention given endlessly. When he withholds, he isn't punishing her. He's letting her oxygen supply dip just enough to remind her how much she craves the flame. He doesn't hand out validation like candy, so when it comes from him, it carries weight. A look, a word, even a small gesture of recognition feels amplified, precisely because it isn't constant. This is why women often burn brighter around a Sigma male. His lack of desperate attention forces them to seek ways to earn it. She leans in closer, tries harder to impress, and invests more energy just to feel his gaze again. It creates a dynamic where she fuels herself around him, not because he's smothering her with affirmation, but because she's striving to draw it out of him. The genius of this is subtlety. He doesn't play cold games or act cruel. He simply doesn't overpay with the currency she values most. He remains selective, intentional, and measured. That restraint keeps him from blending into the mass of men who flood her with validation. By treating his attention like something rare, he makes it worth chasing. And once a Sigma male understands this, he never wastes energy over giving. He knows her identity thrives on attention, but only when it comes in doses that make her fight to keep the flame alive. Number 10. Chemistry isn't consent. Chemistry isn't consent, and the Sigma male's whole perspective shifts when he truly understands this. Attraction can feel like lightning, sudden, raw, and undeniable. A glance, a touch, a shared laugh, and suddenly there's an electricity between them that neither can ignore. But here's the trap. Many men mistake that spark as a green light to do whatever they want. They think chemistry alone is the permission slip. It's not. Chemistry is energy, not agreement. The Sigma learns that just because sparks fly doesn't mean strategy disappears. A woman can be wildly attracted to him in one moment, but if he acts entitled to her because of that energy, the respect collapses. Attraction without discipline quickly turns into regret. What makes him stand out is his ability to ride the wave of chemistry without letting it hijack his judgment. He knows the spark is an opening, not the whole game. This is where most men lose ground. They believe the intensity of her reaction guarantees loyalty, interest, or access. But raw desire can exist alongside hesitation, boundaries, or even conflict within her. She may feel the pull, but that doesn't mean she's ready to hand over respect or trust. The Sigma male's strength is that he doesn't confuse the fire for the foundation. He knows it takes discipline, holding back, maintaining frame, not letting the energy push him into desperation, to turn chemistry into something lasting. The deeper truth is that women test men hardest in these moments. When the attraction is undeniable, they watch to see how he handles it. Does he get sloppy, overconfident, or reckless? Or does he keep his composure, proving he can be trusted even when the tension is at its peak? That's what makes her lean in further. Not the chemistry alone, but the way he handles it. For the Sigma, this realization is liberating. He no longer chases every spark as though it's a guarantee. He knows chemistry is just the opening handshake, not the signed contract. Respect and desire only merge when a man has the self-control to hold the flame without burning himself out. And that's why, in the end, women respond to him differently. Because he doesn't mistake raw energy for entitlement. He treats chemistry as power, and power always demands discipline. Number 11. Validation is addictive, not romantic. Validation is addictive, not romantic. A Sigma male's clarity sharpens when he realizes that compliments, flattery, and attention don't always create intimacy. They often just feed an appetite. For many women, validation works like a hit of dopamine. Every compliment, every like, every "you're beautiful" becomes another dose that soothes insecurities for a moment but never truly satisfies. It's not romance, it's a cycle. Most men get trapped here. They think showering her with endless praise will build affection, but instead it makes them background noise in her personal echo chamber. She might smile, say thank you, or even reward him with a moment of warmth. But it's not connection. It's consumption. She takes the compliment the way someone takes a sip of caffeine, a quick boost, nothing more. By tomorrow, she's ready for the next hit, often from someone else. The Sigma male stops confusing gratitude for intimacy. He learns that her thank you isn't always a sign of closeness. It's just acknowledgement that he delivered what countless others are also offering. And because he sees validation as a currency she can burn through endlessly, he refuses to oversupply it. His words carry weight because they're not on tap. He knows if he gives it too freely, it becomes white noise. But when he offers it sparingly, precisely, and authentically, it actually registers, not as addiction, but as recognition. This changes how he interacts with women entirely. He no longer competes in the endless validation economy where men line up to feed her ego. He doesn't resent her for seeking it, but he doesn't participate in it mindlessly either. He saves his attention for when it matters, and because of that, his words land differently. They stand out. They linger. They mean something in a sea of meaningless approval. At the core, the Sigma understands that validation alone is never love. It doesn't create depth, it doesn't build respect, and it doesn't guarantee desire. It's a quick fix, not a bond. And once he stops mistaking the addict's smile for intimacy, he frees himself from the trap that swallows so many men. His value stops being tied to how often he feeds her craving, and instead it's rooted in the fact that he doesn't need to. And that restraint is what makes him unforgettable. Number 12. Her past doesn't retire. Her past doesn't retire, and the Sigma male's entire mindset shifts once he accepts this. Most men want to believe that once they step into a woman's life, the slate is clean, that old lovers, flings, or messy entanglements fade into the background, erased by the new connection. But that's not how it works. Women don't delete their past, they archive it. The stories don't vanish, they just shift in volume. Some voices grow faint, others linger louder, and the Sigma learns that no man fully replaces the echoes. He only becomes part of the chorus. This truth stops him from being shocked when an ex's shadow shows up in subtle ways. A song that makes her pause, a restaurant she avoids, the way her guard goes up in a certain conversation. These aren't accidents. They're fragments of unfinished stories, still alive in her psyche. She doesn't move on in the absolute sense. She rearranges the hierarchy of influence. Whoever stirs her emotions most in the present holds the microphone, while the rest sit further back, whispering in the background. For the Sigma male, this isn't a threat. It's insight. He doesn't waste time demanding to be the only voice that ever mattered. He knows exclusivity in her mind is a myth. Instead, he focuses on being the loudest, most unforgettable presence in the lineup. He accepts that he can't erase her history, but he can dominate her present so strongly that the past fades into background noise. This perspective also strips him of illusions. He stops punishing himself with comparisons to ghosts she once loved, because he understands the past isn't competition. It's just context. Every man before him left an imprint, but not every imprint is permanent. What sticks isn't who came first, it's who resonates deepest. And here's where the Sigma separates himself from ordinary men. He doesn't chase after promises that she's over it. He knows words are PR. Instead, he watches whether her actions hand him the microphone. If they do, he plays his role fully, without fear of the echoes. If they don't, he walks away, knowing that her loyalties are still entangled with old frequencies. Her past doesn't retire. But the Sigma male doesn't need it to. He knows the only thing that matters is this. When he steps into the room, does the music shift in his favor? If it does, the echoes don't stand a chance. The Sigma male's breakthrough comes the moment he stops believing in illusions and starts seeing women for who they truly are. Complex, instinctive, emotional, and endlessly paradoxical. He learns that attraction isn't about fairness, that loyalty belongs to emotions, not promises, and that security without tension is nothing but comfort dressed in disguise. He realizes her body betrays secrets her words can't admit, that validation feeds addiction more than intimacy, and that her past never truly disappears. It just changes volume depending on who commands her emotions in the present. What sets him apart is not bitterness, but clarity. While other men get trapped in contradictions, chasing words over actions or confusing sparks for guarantees, the Sigma moves differently. He reads between the lines, respects the pull of biology, and plays the game on asymmetric terms. He doesn't resent her need for attention or her shifting loyalties. He understands them, and by understanding, he masters the dynamic without losing himself. In the end, everything changes for the Sigma because he no longer clings to illusions that break weaker men. He doesn't demand democracy and attraction, he doesn't fear the echoes of her past, and he doesn't confuse comfort for desire. Instead, he stands in his own gravity. Scarce, unshakable, and unapologetically himself. And that's exactly why he becomes unforgettable. Because while every other man tries to bend to her story, he becomes the story she can't stop telling herself. So if this opened your eyes, don't just sit back. Hit that subscribe button like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. Because once you understand this about women, you stop playing checkers and start playing the game that was always happening beneath the surface. If you've made it this far, then you know this wasn't the usual sugar-coated talk. We go deeper here. We strip away the illusions and we say what most people are too afraid to admit. If that resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel and join a community that actually values truth over clichés. Smash that like button to push this message further. Drop your thoughts in the comments so we can sharpen each other, and share this video with someone who's ready to hear what no one else will tell them. Every action you take keeps this conversation alive, and trust me, this is just the beginning.